Hey, it's Dean here from the Workshop Whisperer, and in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about control versus leverage. Why auto repair shop owners end up doing everything themselves. Now, control feels safe, and for most auto repair shop owners, put that right back there, for most auto repair shop owners, control is the real reason why they're still doing everything. After all, if you as the owner don't do it, if you don't check it, if you don't stay across what needs to be done, then there's a belief that it won't be done properly. And in the early days, that belief feels like a responsible way to run your auto repair business. But it's also the trap, because this isn't a systems problem, it's actually a thinking problem. And by the way, if this episode hits a nerve, we've got a free ABC player checklist that's going to help you work out who on your team you're actually safe to let go delegation to, and more importantly, who you're not. Don't grab it yet, just know it's there because we're going to come back to it. But first of all, I want to talk to you about human core needs. And auto repair shop owners don't cling to control because they're bad leaders. They cling to it because control meets one of our basic human needs. Let me explain further. The one thing you want to know in your auto repair business is that everything that's being done is being done the way you either did it when you were doing everything all by yourself, or the way that you want it to be done now that your team has grown. So every single auto repair shop owner has this need for control. Please remember, I'm writing with a broken wrist. That's why I look like a preschooler's handwriting. You can have a laugh along the way. And control is, let's think of it as the container that we all need to feel like we know how our day, our week, our month, our year is going to go. But there's flavors of control. And the first of those is the flavor of, I'm just going to put it in there in a C, certainty. What do I mean by this? Well, having a sense of certainty that everything inside your auto repair business and everyone on your team is doing things exactly the way you want them to be done gives you a sense that nothing is going to blow up. You know, the place isn't going to explode. There's not going to be too many fires to put out. And you're attempting to keep any unfamiliar outcomes or any unexpected issues from arising as much as you possibly can. The second flavor of control here is significance. I'm just going to put that in there. I'll put here as certainty. The second flavor of control is significance. And what does that mean? That's our ego hoping and clinging to the need that we are still useful and valuable to the business. It's essentially that part of us that is telling ourselves that if I control everything that's happening day to day, if I have a finger in every pie, an eye on every issue, or I'm involved in every single process, then the business still needs me. So the first flavor of control is certainty, which is a belief that well, nothing will blow up if I'm across everything. The second flavor is significance, which speaks to our sense of usefulness, which says, well, if I've got a finger in every pie and I know it, I'm across everything that's going on, then the business still needs me. And the third flavor here is safety. And what safety says is that, well, if I stay involved, if I keep actively engaging in everything that's going on, well, nothing's going to go wrong. So it is an attempt to remove friction and reduce barriers to your auto repair shop running the way that you want it to run or think that it should run. So our three flavors of control: certainty, significance, and safety. Please understand, wanting to have a sense of control over how your auto repair business operates, how your technicians do their job, how your service advisors take care of your customers, and how your administrative team or reception team greet your customers is completely normal. And it's not your fault if wanting a high level of control feels good. But the problem is that what keeps an auto repair shop owner emotionally safe is the very same feeling that can quietly keep the business small. Because if every problem has to come to you for a solution, if no decisions can be made without first going through you, then you become the biggest bottleneck to your auto repair shop's growth and the biggest barrier to a better business. So if control is how you feel secure, then your business never becomes strong enough to grow. We'll just let that sink in for a moment. Here's the other thing I want you to appreciate. If we think about control, let me come back here. If we think about control out here, the tighter we want to control things, then the more involved we need to get in every single decision, every single process, every single choice that happens on a daily basis. And the more control we seek to have inside our day-to-day operations, well, it kind of becomes quite clear to say that the more we become locked inside our business. You never experience the kind of freedom that so many auto repair shop owners say they want, and you never get to enjoy the kind of fun or fulfillment that exists outside of the workshop walls. So the more control one needs, the tighter we hold on to everything that needs to happen, then the further away we get from the one thing that almost every auto repair shop owner I've ever spoken to over the last 12 years tells me they want, which is a business that can run without them. So how do we start to change that? Great question. Let's look at this second model, which is control versus leverage. Now, at one end of the scale here, we're looking for, or we're working under, strict control. What shows up when we're looking at strict control? Well, to start with, it means that the owner Everything about the business is owner-led. Not just the day-to-day operations, but the owner is probably running around doing all the bookings, doing all the invoicing, doing all the quoting, doing customer service, doing upselling. They might even be working at the bookkeeper, working as a bookkeeper. So it's not just the 10 hours they're spending or maybe longer day to day actually fixing vehicles, repairing, doing the repair work. There's all the administrative tasks. There's all the supplier issues to deal with. There's the invoicing. There's the bookkeeping. There's all these aspects that are led by the owner. The second part here is that when there's high levels of control, it means the owner is doing all the checking, all the fixing, and all the rescuing. What do I mean by that? Well, even if the owner has a team, they still feel compelled almost to check all the work that's been doing by everyone else to ensure that it meets their standard or their quality of work. Again, that's not a bad thing, so don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. But if, as the owner, they need to go and check everyone else's work, it simply eats up into their time for doing their own work. If the owner has to go in and fix every problem, again, it's sucking up their time. And if the owner has to go in and rescue others when things go wrong, consistently playing the role of the hero. And from previous week's episode, we talked about the drama triangle and the role that the hero plays in helping to maintain a level of drama or chaos, or create chaos and drama. Then I would certainly encourage you to go back and watch that episode. But in a high control auto repair shop, the owner will be involved at almost every level and every process. They'll constantly be checking that things are being done right. They'll be the only one who feels they can fix issues when they arise, and will be rescuing others in the team when they get into trouble. The other concern, the next concern in a high control auto repair shop where the owner feels like they've got to be in control of everything, is that they only ever experience short-term relief from issues. Why short-term relief? Well, they don't have the mental bandwidth or the mental energy, let alone the time, to spend designing long-term solutions for short-term problems. So an auto repair shop owner who runs their workshop with a high level of control is constantly going to be losing energy and constantly applying effort to putting out fires. And I'm sure we can all think of moments, perhaps that are occurring right now, or circumstances that we've been in previously, where we got to the end of a day and we genuinely felt like we achieved nothing because we spent the entire day running around putting out a whole bunch of fires around us in the vain hope that our workshop wasn't going to burn to the ground. So 3 characteristics, we've got a fourth that's coming, but first 3 characteristics of an auto repair shop or an auto repair business owner who is operating under high levels of control is every initiative is owner led. They're constantly checking, fixing, rescuing others, checking work, fixing problems, and rescuing others when they get into trouble, and only ever getting short-term relief from recycled issues that come up every day, every week, every month, possibly every year. And the last part that I want to talk about here is under high level of control, that auto repair shop owner is actually creating long-term dependency. Hard to write with a broken wrist. Long-term dependency on them from their team. What do I mean? In psychology, there is a saying that says, if you think about the brain has, I can't even remember the actual stat, but there are trillions and trillions and trillions of neural pathways, nerve connections inside the brain. And as the saying goes, what wires together, fires together. Great example. There is a neural pathway inside your brain that's been set for however many years about how you brush your teeth. And if just for a second you think about it, every single morning when you go to brush your teeth, and I hope you're brushing your teeth every single morning, you put your toothpaste in the same hand, you apply roughly the same amount of toothpaste, and you start brushing on the exact same tooth. Think about it. That is a neural pathway that has been wired together over decades and now fires together without you thinking about it. The same thing happens for an auto repair shop owner who's operating with high levels of control inside their business. And how does that relate to long-term dependency? Well, when you create a workshop and a team that becomes dependent upon you or is trained to come to you for solutions because you've got to check everything, you've got to fix everything, and you're racing to rescue everything, then you are actually reinforcing the wiring inside your team's brain that says, oh, I have problem, must go to boss for solution. When you go to check, fix, and rescue, you're also strengthening the wiring in your brain that says, oh, business has problem, team has issue, must go rescue them, must go fix this. So what happens is we strengthen the neural pathway that keeps our team dependent on us, but also removes the possibility that there might be a more permanent solution for these recycled problems. So to recap with my totally messy handwriting, for an auto repair shop owner who is operating with high level of control in their workshop, they're going to be involved in, or they're going to be leading every initiative. They're going to be checking, fixing, rescuing when there's any problem. They'll only ever be experiencing short-term relief, and they're going to create long-term dependency from the people on their team. It feels good in the long run, but you can see here as well that if up the top here, we said this was years, and along here, this was time. Well, the problem is that the longer the auto repair shop owner holds on to control of the workshop, then the lower amount of time they have left, and the less likely it is that they're going to be free of their workshop. And even if they are, they won't necessarily feel like they're ever actually away. They might physically be away from the workshop, but because of the dependent nature of the working relationship and the lack of initiative that has been built inside the team. When a problem arrives in the workshop, they're probably going to ring you for a solution anyway. So physically, you might be out of your workshop, but mentally, you're still there, and emotionally, you're often still connected. You can't ever truly get away. And we can understand here that that's not really what you want. So let's look at the alternative for a moment. So if on the other side, so if control is at one side of the scale, what we actually want at the other end is leverage. And as a quick aside, Chris Rock, the comedian, says, trying to reorganize furniture is really hard if it's only you. But two people can move a couch really easily, because bring in a second person to help you move the couch creates immediate leverage. And what is leverage? It's control with and through others, not manipulation. We're not talking about any deep, dark psychology tricks here. We're simply looking at leverage as a tool we have to relinquish some of the control you may currently be using to operate your business and getting help from others. So the difference here with from control to leverage, is this. Is that leverage involves clear standards. What do I mean by clear standards? I mean performance benchmarks, expected targets, and clear KPIs. Essentially, a set of goalposts that every single team member is aware of, understands, and knows or can demonstrate their ability to meet those goals, hit those targets on a consistent basis. So clear standards, something to aim at. Not a guess, not a wish, not a hope, but a clear standard, a clear target, a clear goal. The second part of a leveraged auto repair business is what we call decision rights. What do we mean by decision rights? What we mean by decision rights is whoever your key personnel are. In many auto repair businesses, it may be service advisors, it may be workshop managers, it may be leading hands, it may be the foreman. But decision rights is when key people on your team are given some freedom, some autonomy, some leverage to make decisions within an agreed boundary or within an agreed guideline. But they can make those decisions on your behalf without having to come to you for permission. An example here might be with a service advisor. There is perhaps some work's been done, but a customer comes back and is unhappy or upset with some aspect of the service they received or the work that was done on their vehicle. Decision rights in this example would be a pre-agreed guideline that empowers and enables the service advisor to make this situation right, meet that customer's needs, even if it involves an amount of money. Let's say a decision right for your service advisor could be this, which is you as the owner say to the service advisor, I am okay for you to solve any customer issue up to a dollar value of $250. What does that mean? It means the service advisor could write off some work up to the value of $250 if it meant that that customer walked away incredibly happy. Now, of course, you might be sitting there going, well, God, if we did that on every customer, we'd be broke. Well, the goal is not to do that on every customer, of course. If you were having to do that on every customer, then the issue is probably going to be quality control or quality insurance. That's not what this training's about. But decision rights is creating pre-agreed frameworks and guidelines for your key team members, key personnel to solve problems on your behalf without coming to you for permission. The third characteristic of a highly leveraged auto repair shop owner is systems and expectations. Expectations with an S. Systems. In almost every conversation I've ever had with an auto repair shop owner for nearly 12 years now, they have a how-to guide, but it lives inside their head. So whatever it is that needs to be done inside their auto repair business day to day, and whatever the process is that they either follow themselves or they want other people to follow, well, that process sits inside their head. It's only ever shared if a team member asks. And if the team member can't remember what to do, then guess where they need to go to find the guide? Well, they need to come to you. Further reinforcing the long-term dependency that we spoke about earlier in this training when it relates to a highly controlled auto repair shop. So systems are standard operating procedures and documented processes that live somewhere outside your head. And as a mentor once said to me, the brain is a thinking tool, not a storage device. So whenever a team member comes to you as an auto repair shop owner and says, hey boss, how do we do whatever the thing it might be? That is suggestive that either you don't have a documented process for the thing they're asking you to do, or they don't know, or if you do, they don't know where it is, or they're too lazy to go and find it. And this is also a trap, because if you give them if you've got that documented system, that documented process, and they can go show it, they can go and find it. If you give them the answer right then, you're just further reinforcing the neural pathways that is building long-term dependency. So if you don't have documented systems, you need to start documenting the systems. If you do have them, Keep redirecting your team members back to where they can find them so they can begin to answer their own questions in their own time. But more importantly, they can solve the problems they've got with the solutions you've already designed. And the second part here is expectations, which is very similar to what I said before at standards around benchmarks, KPIs, and metrics. Here at the Workshop Whisperer and inside our high-level coaching program called the Engine Room, we measure every single one of our Engine Room members' businesses against the 15 automotive-specific industry benchmarks that we have. Benchmarks like gross profit percentage, net profit percentage, parts versus labor percentages, average repair order, and there's a number of others. The point being that when you set clear expectations for how you want your teams and your business to perform, then at least you start to get compounding effort where everyone is working towards the same thing. If I'm a technician and I think that a productivity percentage or my productivity level of 50% is good, meaning if there's 10 hours of available time to bill in a day, but I only bill out 5, and I think that's good, but we recognize the benchmark is somewhere in the 80% range, well, we don't have clear expectations. And in fact, as the auto repair business owner, if you have an expectation that is consistently not being met, you will always feel disappointed, not just in your team, but you'll feel disappointed in yourself because you'll believe that you just can't find good staff. But good staff like clear targets. They like clear expectations and they like to work to clear standards. So the third element of a leveraged auto repair business is systems and expectations. And the final part of a leveraged auto repair shop is team ownership. This is important because when we build, develop, and improve the level of ownership across our teams for the overall performance of the workshop, everyone gets to benefit. It is the ultimate win-win-win. When the workshop is winning, meaning it is solidly profitable, hopefully at or above the industry benchmark for net profitability, that means there is more money available in the business bucket to reward your team for the quality of work they're delivering, or really for their output, the quality of work they're delivering, and their input, the effort or efficiency that goes into that output. But there's also more left over to find its way into your back pocket as the business owner. And ultimately, as the owner of an auto repair business, you wear 100% of the risk of running your business day to day. But in very few cases does an auto repair shop owner enjoy 100% of the reward. So let's just recap here quickly. An auto repair business owner that is operating with a high level of control will find they've got to lead every initiative. They've got to consistently check everyone else's work. They've got to fix the problems when they go wrong, and they go in to rescue people when they get into trouble. They only ever get short-term relief from recycled problems, and they build and create a long-term dependency from their team on themselves, because they never give team members the space to learn how to solve their own problems. But at the other end of the spectrum, in a highly leveraged auto repair business, the owner is operating with clear standards, decision rights for key team members, key personnel. They have documented systems and agreed expectations across every department, and they start to see the team take ownership for the overall business performance. What does that leave us in the end? Well, it actually gives us a high amount of freedom and a high amount of control. And this is the great irony, is the more we relinquish control across and through our team, ensuring there are clear standards, decision rights, systems and expectations, and a team that owns outcomes, the higher the level of control we actually have as the business grows, scales, and becomes more profitable. So while control feels productive, introducing and building leverage inside your auto repair business is actually the tool that creates scale for your business. Now, it's at this point between control and leverage where most owners get stuck. They know they can't keep doing everything by themselves, and they know they need leverage, but in many cases, they simply don't know who to trust with decisions, with standards, with ownership. And that's why we created the simple ABC player checklist. Ultimately, it helps you to identify who's ready for ownership, who needs more development, and essentially who's quietly forcing you to stay in control. You can download the resource for free. You can use it once, and ultimately it's going to change exactly how you see your team. The last model I want to talk to you about here is the 3 levels of leverage, because from doing this for nearly 12 years now, we've identified there are revenue bands, income streams that tend to determine the level of control or the level of leverage that is available to an auto repair shop owner. So first of all, if we just come down here and let's just drop in again the model here. At one end, we've got control. At the other end, we've got leverage. And I really can't wait until I've got a fully functioning wrist to do this. But let's look at this first band, okay? This first band. And this band is in here. It's from, well, it's for a workshop doing up to 500,000 a year, right? Per annum, per year. So somewhere around the $40,000 to $45,000 a month in average turnover. Understand the months might fluctuate, but on average. So at this level, we would say this business owner or this auto repair business owner has personal leverage. What does that mean by personal leverage? Well, straight up, it means that the owner is going to be doing most things that they're going to have a high level of control. Remember, owner-led. And here's the kicker, right? They're probably going to be in survival mode. Because at this level, where everything relies on the owner's effort and the owner's input, then any time that is spent not swinging a spanner around, as the saying kind of goes, although I know you don't use a bucket load of spanners anymore, is unbilled time. So what we found over is that around or between the $40,000 to $50,000 a month range, that because the owner is doing almost everything in the business, they are bottlenecking growth. They are the barrier to scale. And so it feels like it's just survival. Because if you have a week where a lot of things go wrong, a lot of rework, or there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be done, it has a significant impact on that month's turnover. So you kind of get on this roller coaster of revenue. One good month where you didn't have too many problems is followed by a bad one, and the cycle just goes on and on and on and on again. So you're never really more than 1 week or 1 month away from really feeling like everything might go downhill. Now, the second layer of leverage, though, which is from $500,000 to $1 million, we call this, let me just block that off as well. So this revenue band, $500,000 to $1 million of annual turnover, annual revenue, we call this, I'll put it in red, we call this structural. So this business owner is starting to get leverage. Starting to get leverage. So we're now embedding or documenting systems. I'll put this a bit bigger. This is easier. Systems. So systems are replacing memory. It's no longer sitting inside the owner's head. It's now living inside a file where teams can get access to it. We've got roles and responsibilities for team members. So we're no longer leaving it up to chance or relying on goodwill, just, hoping that our team are doing what they need to do. But there's clear roles and responsibilities for every position in the business. We've got standards. So there's clear standards for the team to work to and work towards, rather than coming in to fix everything when things go wrong. There's clear goals, clear guidelines. And the third part of structural leverage is that there is deliberate control. What do I mean by deliberate control? Clear expectations, agreed expectations, clear standards, and behaviors, positive behaviors from the team that create the desired outcomes, outputs across every department. So at personal level, whoops, Wrong thing. Personal level, owners doing most things. There's high levels of control, really holding on tightly, but they're always in survival mode. At the structural level, $500,000 a year to $1 million in turnover, because at this level you have team. I've only ever seen one solo operator who was higher than $500K to $1 million. That's not saying there aren't any. I've only ever spoken to one. If you're doing that, it's amazing. I haven't spoken to you yet, but I would hazard a guess that you're feeling pretty damn burnt out at that level. But at structural level, systems are starting to replace memory. We've got roles and responsibilities replacing goodwill. We've got standards that replace having to go in and fix anything. And we've got deliberate control. Like I said, expectations, standards, behaviors that support an outcome. But at the third level of leverage, which is from $1 million to 1.5 a year. So this band up here, we've got what we call strategic leverage. Strategic leverage. And at strategic leverage, what we're getting here is leaders lead leaders. Ultimately, what that means is you have a layer of middle management installed in your business that take care of the daily operations of the team. What that means now is that there are team decides. Not all the team, your key personnel, your designated leadership team. Remember, decision rights. You have a team that are deployed to make decisions on your behalf in accordance with your processes to ensure the business operates the way it's meant to day to day to day. And with team decisions, this actually frees you up to do owner design. Design of what? Well, design how the business operates in the future. Design how your sales team performs better. Design your pricing strategy. Design your financial reporting. Essentially, design the future of the business that will influence your future, your family's future, your financial future, the level of fun, freedom, and fulfillment that you are going to experience because you have a highly leveraged business that can operate profitably whether you are there or not. So let's recap on the 3 levels of leverage. 0 to 500, it's personal leverage. Owner does most things, high control, usually in survival mode. 500,000 to $1 million a year. Systems replace memory. We've got roles and responsibilities over goodwill. Work standards replace fixing work. And we have deliberate control built around documented processes. And then finally, we've got strategic leverage for a business doing over $1 million a year. We've got the leader, the owner, you, leading your leaders, your middle management layer. which means those team members are empowered to make decisions on your behalf with their decision rights within the agreed frameworks and guidelines, which leaves you as the owner to design a better business, build better systems, create a better future. It's how we create leverage, and it's how we get freedom from the business. And the key part here is that at each level, at each critical point, what got you to that level of revenue and that scale of business won't keep you there. Personal will get you to about $500,000 a year. Structural will get you up to about $1 million a year. But anything beyond, but for any auto repair business doing $1 million a year in total turnover and beyond, if they're not in strategic leverage, then that owner will still have a high level of dependency from their team. They will feel stuck inside the business. The one thing to remember here, with all of this in mind, for anything inside your business, any task, any process, any procedure, any work, if you're still doing some aspect of it, you still own it. No one on your team owns it. It hasn't been delegated, it hasn't been automated, or it hasn't been eradicated from your plate. And you can apply this thought, if I'm still doing it, then I still own it. You can apply it to every staff question you get across a day, every interruption you get across a day, and every decision that keeps coming back to you that you've already given your team responsibility to make on your behalf. And at those points in time, the only question to ask yourself is, well, is this control or is this leverage? And auto repair shop owners who are operating above the line know that it's all about reducing how much work is spent fixing the business and start designing ownership within their team so you as the owner can work on enjoying more freedom from your business. If you want to learn more about how we help auto repair shop owners just like you go from overworked stress to running a business that gives them more time and more freedom, creating a highly leveraged business, then you can check out how we do that in the description below this video. And I look forward to seeing you for episode 3.